I know my story really well because, I've lived it. And, everyone talks about how hard it is to get up here and talk. I had to learn a long time ago I needed to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is key. And that's what I want to start with, vulnerability. If you really want to make a connection, you need to be vulnerable. With that being said, my story isn't easy. My life wasn't. And sometimes it's hard to share it. Sometimes I still cry because it was a really heavy weight to carry. And what I want to start with is about between the ages of 2 and 3, I was broken before I began. I was in a home that was unsafe. It wasn't my parents, but my parents allowed people around me that were not safe. So I had to learn to not only protect myself, but my best friend. So I started taking care of her, and I thought she needed to be my girlfriend at the age of 3 and 4, because I was being groomed and trained on how to be in an inappropriate sexual relation. And that's how I began life. Then, my father decided I needed to be the scapegoat to everything because I was the absolute reason he hated his life. He was stuck with a woman he couldn't stand. And that was my fault because I was born. So I was rejected. I was beaten because I lived. And it continued. By the time I was 14, I thought, oh my gosh, I got this great guy. He's so nice. But he took me on the hood of a car when I said no. Right in plain view. People walked by and didn't even realize while I was crying out for help. And I was ignored. So I didn't feel I had a voice. I didn't feel that I belonged anywhere. So we're going to fast forward. A series of promiscuities, everything else. I had no self-worth, went into drugs, thought that was my life. I lived on the streets by the time I was 14. I raised myself. It's like a little cave bear or something. I don't know. I had no direction. So, in that, I met one unfortunate event after another. And I thought, this is just life. It's doomed. It's supposed to be this way. And I'm obviously the one that gets the worst hand ever. But I've always had this innate ability to be happy.
Amen.
Because I didn't let them own me. I owned myself. As a little girl, I learned that I was self-sovereign. I didn't know the words, but I knew I was in charge of myself. I didn't have family that covered me. I didn't have people who protected me. So I had to become hypervigilant. Oh, let me watch everything. Let me watch everyone. I was born hearing impaired. They didn't know that. I have a disability in my leg, and later on had another injury to it, so I actually can't do a lot of physical activities. In turn, one of the reasons why I have extra weight, because I can't do high impact exercise. I can walk. I love walking. That actually became a solace for me. But I had a child by the time I was 18, 4 days before I turned 19. And I thought, oh my gosh, even though my relationship sucks and he's already abusing me because I went from one abuse to another abuse until, abuse just happened. It was normal. I didn't think there was anything really wrong with it. It was just what it was. I could be tough enough to endure it. I could stand there and look the best ones in the eyes and tell them, oh yeah, you think you're gonna be tough enough? Go ahead, let's see what you got. Because I'll probably match you. I was a fighter. I'd fight back. It wasn't fun. I don't know how many times I looked at myself in the mirror and couldn't recognize myself. It sucked. But here I was. I had my son. I thought, wow. And he did nothing but cry. He screamed. Blood-curdling screams for the first year of his life. That's all he did. Morning, noon, night. I don't think I slept for the first 6 months, other than falling out and waking up. We found out later that he has a severe mental health issue. And as the years went on, I had to deal with, as a single mom, with mental health issues. And I've been on a 28-year journey into mental health with him, and he is really working on himself. And that's just a little piece of my life. When I talk to people about the fact that I am about the art of learning self-love, I'm the queen of self-love. I had to learn from birth to love myself first, because I'm worth it. It took me many years to find that self-love. And my son, who is on his own path and doing his own thing, today, he's 28 years old, like I said, on a 28-year discovery of mental health. Every condition you could possibly hear about, I've had to study it and figure out how to help my son through it. Ultimately bringing us to a point, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this. When he was 19, he thought he needed to take his own life. He stepped in front of an 18-wheeler. For 3 days, I didn't know if he was gonna survive. I sat in a hospital waiting to find out. He came through, and I'm blessed. You wouldn't even tell if you saw him today. And he's got an amazing story, but he's still in a journey. He's not there yet. But as many unfortunate events as we can go through, and I can tell you, I've had them all, every single one. The journey of the last 28 years of my life has given me the tools and the skills to meet each and every one of you, no matter where you're at. And that's why I say everyone, because I've been through enough in my life that I have the experience to actually walk you through it. A lot of times we go to people and they don't have the experience, and we damage others while we're telling our stories because they're not equipped. I was made equipped because God prepared me. God didn't have time to make a nobody. He had time to make a somebody.
Amen.
And I certainly am somebody, and so are you. Every
I'm walking
single
now.
one.
Right.